Thank you for joining Pioneer. I'm Chris with Norman Public Library Central, and this is the 5th video in our series on the Swift computer programming language. In our last video, we learned how to make mistakes. You were probably already pretty good at making mistakes. In fact, if you weren't already making mistakes, I think you're probably a robot. For the humans watching this video, however, hopefully that gave you some tips on how to resolve errors that you run into. In today's video, I would like to move forward and learn about conditionals. We're going to learn how to make the computer make some decisions. Here we go. I started with a blank Swift playground, and we're going to create a variable that has some information in it. So I'll create a variable called flowers. And into flowers, I'm going to make an array, and I'll put tulips, roses, and aardvarks. What's that, you say? One of those isn't a flower? How do you know? Maybe it is, or maybe the computer should automatically detect that it's not a flower. Next, we'll make a loop that goes through each of our flowers. And let's begin by printing them out. If you run your code now, you'll see that Swift prints out tulips is a flower, roses is a flower, aardvarks is a flower. Well, we have a grammar problem. I probably should have said are a flower, since I made all of those plural. And, well, aardvarks aren't flowers. So let's have the computer look for the word aardvarks and remove it from that list. Here's how we're going to do that. I'm going to give myself a new blank line before the print statement, but still inside the curly brace. Make sure that you're indented. Even though Swift doesn't care if this line is indented, it should automatically indent the line, and you want to let it do that. Inside the curly braces, all of your code should be indented. Now we're going to introduce a new keyword, and that word is if. IF. Pretty easy. I want to say if flower is equal to aardvarks. Well, when you tell a computer that you want to check to see whether it's equal, you don't use one equal sign. You use two equal sign. One equal sign is called the assignment operator. It will make flower equal to aardvarks. I don't want to make flower aardvarks. I want to check to see if flower is aardvarks. So I will say flower equals equals. And now I'm going to check to see if it is aardvarks. Maybe I'll even spell aardvarks correctly. Now I'm going to put another open curly brace and press enter, and you will see that Swift gives you another closed curly brace and then indents your code even further. If my flower is aardvarks, then I want to print that's not a flower. That's how an if statement will work. If I run my code right now, though, it prints out tulips are a flower, roses are a flower, that's not a flower, and aardvarks are a flower. Well, it's still wrong. So now I need to add the other side of my if statement. In addition to my if statement, I can add an else statement, which is like saying otherwise. If my flower is aardvarks, print that's not a flower. Otherwise, print that they are a flower. I'm going to add my close curly brace, just like Swift is warning me about, and I'm going to indent that print statement by pressing Tab before it. Swift doesn't really care about my indentation, but it makes it much easier to read. Now when I run my code, I see tulips are a flower, roses are a flower, and that's not a flower. So in today's lesson, we've learned about the if statement, called a conditional. This is one of the major components of all computer programming languages that allow the computer to make decisions based on the information they're seeing. Your challenge today is to make a list of the people in your family, and then, inside your for loop, when it sees your name, print something special. Otherwise, print out the rest of the names of the people in your family. Thanks for joining me, and have a great day.